I had some pretty surprising books I read this year, going into them with no expectation whatsoever. And I'm going to show you those 10 books right now. So let's get started. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Zach with Zacks Books. Today I've got for you my top 10 biggest surprises of 2020. I read a couple of books. I've read a lot of books this year actually. Number 100 was The Green Mile, which was pretty recent. These are the top 10s that I read that were surprises to me. That I didn't think were going to be good or had no idea what the heck they're even about. I just read it and was surprised. I'm just going to dive right into it. I will have a top 3 biggest surprises at the end. Obviously the top 3. But the rest of these are no particular order. They're just surprises. So let's get it started. The first one I'm going to talk about is No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. Holy cow, this book was good. I've seen the movie and I didn't realize how close the material in the movie was compared to the book, and it's really good. I absolutely loved it. I will say the only thing I don't like is his non-usage of quotations when people are talking, but besides that, the story itself is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars. Really good read. Really enjoyed this. And if you've seen the movie, it's pretty much the exact same thing, just in a book. So, highly recommend this book. 5 stars. Surprise that. The next one I'm going to talk about is a book my wife bought me. She showed me the cover of it like 2 months before she bought it, and I absolutely loved it. I read it not that long before she showed me the cover, and so I know I wanted another kind of clown book. And so I read Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. I think I did a reading vlog on this. That's up here if you want to take a look at that. This book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't have expectations going into it because I had never read a book by Adam Caesar. And I gotta say, it was a really good book. It's the first book I read by Adam Caesar, and I really enjoyed it. It was a solid story throughout the whole thing. It's got a cool plot twist with it, and I really enjoyed it. Got me back on the clown thing. Obviously, it wasn't as like supernatural as like Pennywise, but it still had that weird, creepy clown vibe going throughout the book. So, really good book. I think I gave it 4 stars. It could have been 5. Again, the reading vlog, I'll tell you what I did. If not, check out my Goodreads down below. All these books are on it. But yeah, Clown in a Cornfield. Pretty surprising book, but I really enjoyed it. Good job, Dad. Good job, Adam Caesar. The next one I'm going to talk about, my wife bought me when she just decided to give me a bunch of random like horror books. And it was pretty surprising. And that's Hex. And I still don't know how to say this guy's name. Thomas Old Hoyvelt. I'm sorry, Thomas.
Hovelt.
I think I even said that in the video. I didn't know how to say it. But yeah, this is also in a reading vlog. But it was a pretty creepy story. It's about this witch who I think has got her eyes sewn shut. And the town, like, avoids her at all costs. She's been alive for, like, hundreds of years. And it's kind of like a knock at like our generation being messed up, because the kids of this generation, like in this story in this town, when you're born into this town, you can't leave, otherwise the witch like gets you or something like that. And so this group of kids in this generation, like as a joke to like our generation, break all the rules. One of them like fucks the witch. And a bunch of, like, one of them cuts the eyes open, and all hell breaks loose in the town because the kids are just tired of how things are. And everything goes wrong. The entire town gets, like, wiped out or something like that. It's bad. The ending has a really cool twist, and I really liked it. So this was a big surprise for me, and I recommend this book. I don't think I give it 5 stars. because of what the teenagers did, I like really hated the kids in this book. They were like, if the kids in it were heroes, these people are dicks. I'll say that much. So, solid book. I think I gave it 4 stars. Again, look at Goodreads. It's got all the answers. So, good book. Really enjoyed it. So, as you know, I read books by a guy named Stephen King. Some of you may or may not have heard of him. He is good. So, of course, I decided to read a book by his son. Not Owen King. Joe Hill. Joe Hill King. I decided to read a book by him. And I honestly am a little upset with myself because I think I picked the best one to read first. And the next one I read was Strange Weather, and it kind of went downhill from there. But I read NOS 4A2, Nosferatu. Woo, this book was solid. It's thick. It talks about Christmas. And it's got a murderous, weird creature thing that like drives in a funky looking car. There's not much else I could ask for. Maybe Pennywise. Maybe if he made an appearance, that would have been cool. But overall, this book was really solid. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. It was, I wouldn't say the biggest surprise I had. Obviously, it's not in my top 3. Because I had heard a lot of good things about this. So I kind of was going into it thinking like, this might be Joe Hill's best book, but let me make sure of that. And now I'm kind of bummed out because I did read it, and I don't know if the other ones are going to stack up to this one's spectacularness. Although I have heard good things about the Fireman. 2021, I am planning to do a 2021, ma'am. In 2021, I am planning to do a Joe Hill video by itself, whether it's I read three of his last 5 I haven't read. Or if I read a couple, like just one, or, you know, the Fireman's big enough to be its own vlog. Maybe it'll be kind of like the Riley Sager one where I read all of them. I might do the Fireman separate because of how big it is. It is bigger than this one. Still to be decided. Still gotta wait for this 2020 to be over. So, we'll see. But Nosferatu, really solid book. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. 5 stars. Yes. The next book that I am going to talk about is one that my wife had recommended for me along with 2 other ones. I did it in a reading vlog. I actually didn't have the physical copy when I did that video, so it was kind of a big bummer. But we'll have that posted up here, which it was actually the first couple of rounds she had me read kind of some of her books. Not really.
You'll see in the worst books of the year video.
You'll see in the least favorite books of the year. But this set of 3, she actually did a good job. 2 of them are actually in this stack. Take a look at that video. This was a really good average for the book she recommends. Normally they're like 3 stars. This was 4.25, which is pretty solid. So the one I really liked the most, that was the biggest surprise, is The Wife Stalker by Liv Constantine. It's got a really good twist at the end. It's got honestly, it was probably one of the biggest twists that I read this year. Obviously, I'm not going to do a video for biggest twist of 2020. I can't do that. But this was a really solid ending. The whole time you're thinking one way, and then it's just like, yeah, no. This completely different thing. Because she's like battling for like her kids. And then at the end it's revealed like, yeah, no. It's like, whoa. I don't know how else I can like describe it. It was such like a weird, powerful ending. Like at the beginning you're thinking the dad's like an asshole and like a dick. Then all of a sudden at the end you're like, wait a minute.
What?
He was right. But yeah, The Wife Stalker, really solid book. I think this was the 4.25. Maybe the 4.5. I don't know. Watch the video. I don't have time to remember for this shit.
Good.
So
I'm going to keep that in.
So The Wife Stalker, good book. Yeah. So 3 out of the next 5 are Stephen King. What else would there be on this list of good stuff? The first one I'm going to talk about just missed the cut for being in the top 3 biggest surprises, because the other 3 that did make it were like really solid. So the one I'm going to talk about now is Cujo. This book surprised me. A lot of people I've kind of looked at have had like mixed feelings and reviews about the book with how good it was. I did do a reading vlog for this. There's also some good footage of Bailey in there. because I was reading about a demonic dog, so I needed to spend some time with my demonic dog. And it's a good time. If you like my dog Bailey, check out the video. We have it posted up here. Cujo reading vlog. Check it out. The ending in this is a lot different than the movie. The reason why it's not going to be in the top 3 favorites is because the ending is a little bit more upsetting, but it also was kind of a surprise. I also had kind of heard that the ending was different and it was a little more upsetting, but I really liked the book. It was a solid story. You'd think a book that's a little over 300 pages about 2 people stuck in a car being attacked by a dog wouldn't be really solid. But Stephen King turns into like an actual like nightmare, and I wouldn't expect anything less from him. So this got 5 stars, no doubt about it. But yeah, really good book. I talk more about it in the reading blog. Take a look at that, and let's keep this train going. The next one I'm going to talk about was a big surprise because the whole story itself was just surprising, and I really enjoyed it. I did this with a reading vlog of just reading 2020 thrillers. This was my book of the month pick like earlier in the year, and that was just because I always just pick the thriller or the horror or mystery, and I never got around to reading it. And so I decided to finally give it a read. And that's The Last Flight by Julie Clark. Never heard of the author before this. Never read anything, I never, like I said, if I didn't know the author, I've never read anything by them. But it was a really solid book. This woman who's like got this crappy life, like her husband's an a-hole, meets this other woman and they switch lives. And like the plane the one woman was going to be on to go meet her husband like blows up. And like the woman's like, oh great, okay, I just switched lives with this person. Plane blows up, she's dead. And then she goes and like people are assuming she's dead. And she just lives this whole other life, and then she gets found out, and a whole bunch of crap happens, and it's really cool. It's a solid story. I recommend this book. I think I gave it 4.5 stars, maybe 4. It could have been 5. I don't know. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. Give it a read. It's a good one. The next 3 are my top 3 biggest surprises for 2020. And the next one I'm going to talk about, I'm going to get some backlash on, because a lot of you people who have read Stephen King know that this book was written during his time of writing really bad books. But this book was actually pretty solid for me, and I really enjoyed it. And that is From a Buick 8. I can already feel people typing away saying bad things. This book was really cool. A lot of people say you can sense the change in narration from when, like, his accident happened. And to be honest, I completely agree. The first 3 quarters of this book are so solid that the last quarter, like, doesn't make a difference to me. The story is there's this Buick that randomly shows up. This guy gets out of his car, and he just leaves it at this police station. And a whole bunch of bad things start happening. Things start coming out of the trunk of this Buick. There's like 9 narrators for this book from each perspective of each cop. And it's really good. I really like this book. I think it was 4 or 5 stars. Give it a read if you have not read this book. A lot of people have mixed emotions on this. A lot of people hate this book. I'm like the one exception. I feel like I'm the one exception to who actually likes this book. I don't know. Give it a read and let me know what you think down in the comments if you've read a Buick 8. Why did you hate it? Why did you like it? I don't know. It was just a really good book, and I was surprised that it was good because of all the hate I hear about it. So, give it a read if you haven't. I don't know. Mixed emotions, but I liked it. Alright, the next one I have is not Stephen King. I literally bought this on a whim, hoping it was going to be a solid story, and wow, I picked a really good book. And that is The Sleep Experiment by Jeremy Bates. I did physical read for this. There is no audio for it. And it is really, really solid. I really enjoyed this book. A lot of things go wrong with it, But anytime they mention the professor, I thought about this talk show host. I can't remember his name. But I like pictured him like every time they talked about the professor, the guy performing the experiment. For some odd reason, even though he's described as somebody who looks like completely different, I just pictured this guy. Maybe it'll come to me at the end of the video and I'll let you know. But it was a really solid book. Went with this on a whim. He's got a whole bunch of other ones that I'm planning to read for 2021 because this one was so good. And I'm anxious to get to the other ones. So I highly recommend this. 5 stars. Probably, if it wasn't for this first one, obviously this would be the biggest surprise I read in 2020. So I recommend this. Give it a read. Please read it. It's a really solid book. The biggest surprise I read in 2020 was a Stephen King book. Shocker. And the reason I consider this the biggest surprise is because nobody really talks about this book. And I did a reading vlog on this, and I even said it in that video, where I said literally the same exact thing. I feel like nobody talks about this book. I got no idea why. It jumped into my top 5 like that. And that is Christine. A, it's probably the sexiest car I've ever seen.
Dream car.
B, it's literally my dream car now. I want one. If they didn't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would have one. Probably would never drive it, but I'd have it. And the story itself is so good. And I talk about this in the vlog, which we'll put that above here. The friendship that's described between Dennis and Arnie in the book is a lot more like touching than it is in the movie. You kind of really get that better sense of like these guys have been friends since like grade school, and one of them is starting to like turn because he's got this car and it's like changing him. And it's just a really good book. I can't wait to reread this book next year because of how solid it is. I'm trying to refrain from doing rereads until I read all of them. But this one and Pet Sematary might be an exception. I don't know. But I really recommend this book. I gave this 5 stars, and it jumped in it's now number 5 in my top favorite Stephen King books of all time. This one recently actually got jumped past by The Green Mile, which is now number 4. So, reason why that's not on here is because I remember that one being a good book, so that why that is not on this list. So, but stay tuned for that one though. That's going to be coming up in the best of 2020. But yeah, Christine, really good book. Really recommend it. Loved it. 5 stars. Alright guys, these were my biggest surprises of 2020. I really loved all of them. They're all really solid books. I recommend all of them. Yeah, let me know, what was your biggest surprise of 2020? What like really shocked you? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you have any of the ones I had? Let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I don't know what video we're going to be doing next week. I don't know if it's going to be least favorites of 2020 or favorites of 2020 or just a random video that we'll do another list for. So, but stay tuned for that. It'll be posted on Tuesday. And pretty soon we'll be getting to Christmas. So stay tuned for the video coming around then. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Later.